Hello, everyone. Welcome. So great to know that you are here. My name is Elyse Berrier, and I am the Active Reading Coordinator at Charlotte Mecklenburg Library. Kind of bittersweet as we end our World Read Aloud Day celebration. If you are just tuning in, today is World Read Aloud Day. Today is a day where we are celebrating the joy and power of reading and sharing stories. And we have been sharing our favorite stories all day long since 9:30 this morning. So we're so glad that you are here to join us for our final story of the evening. And I chose one of my favorite stories to share with you, and it is this story, Miss Brooks Loves Books, and I Don't. This story was written by Barbara Bottner and illustrated by Michael Emberley. And I chose this story because this story is actually about a reluctant reader. You see the child on the front. This child is a child that just doesn't want to read. And I think all of us at some point in our lives maybe have felt that way at one point or another, or maybe you feel that way right now. And so I think on World Read Aloud Day, I think we can learn a lesson from this sweet story. But before we begin, as we have been doing all day long, we've been providing some quick literacy tips that you can put into practice. And my literacy tip that I have to share for you is one of the most important, and it is all about our reading habits. So starting as babies, learning to read begins with the habit of reading. We should all be reading as often as we can, but as parents and caregivers, we should especially be reading as often as we can with our children, no matter our child's age. And the ability to hear and talk about concepts that you hear in these books is so important. And when you as the parent or caregiver are warm and encouraging and you model that love of reading, your child is going to learn more language and literacy skills, and then they're going to be more eager to read. So let's start reading this final story of the day. Miss Brooks Loves Books, and I Don't. And again, it was written by Barbara Bottner and illustrated by Michael Emberley. Miss Brooks is our librarian. She loves books a lot. Do you see all those books there? Wow, that's a lot of books. She loves The Runaway Bunny and Babar and Where the Wild Things Are and The Very Hungry Caterpillar. Do you recognize some of those stories? I do. I asked Miss Brooks why she dresses up for Reading Circle. I want you to get just as excited about books as I am, she says. I think Miss Brooks gets a little too excited, and I bet her costumes itch. Do you think her costumes itch? I do too. Halloween means we each have to find a poem to share, but all the books with witches, ghosts, and goblins are checked out, and I hate pumpkins. So I make up a Halloween poem of my own. And look at what her poem is. Eek, a freak! Our class looks at me funny. Miss Brooks says, well, it's a start. All year long, Miss Brooks reads us books. Books about dragons and pilgrims and presidents. Books about love and leprechauns, groundhogs even. It's vexing. And that's a cool vocabulary word right there. Vexing just means it's just awful, dreadfully awful. Then, in May, Miss Brooks tells us something truly terrifying. Book Week! And look at what she's shouting. It's Book Week! You each need to pick a favorite story to share with the class. I want you to wear a costume and tell us all about it. Really show us why you love it, she says. I'll never love a book the way you do, I tell Miss Brooks. Don't be so sure, she says. So you see our character there? Not so happy about this assignment. When I get home, I ask my mother if we can move to a new town. My mother says there's a librarian in every town. And if you're local to Charlotte, you know we have 20 library locations. That's a lot of librarians. I ask if she wants to do my assignment for me. I've already been in the first grade, says my mother. Book week! Every single day of book week, kids share stories about trains and ferries and cowboys and dogs. Sounds like a fun time to me. When Miss Brooks asks what I think, I say, too flowery, too furry, too clickety, too yippity. How's our character feeling now? Not so good. So, Miss Brooks fills my bag with more books for me to read with my mom. Look at all those books. But I don't like any of them. They're too kissy, too pink, and too silly, I tell my mother. You're as stubborn as a wart, she says. Warts? Do you see what our character is doing there? I want to read a story with warts, I shout. Warts! My mother finds me a book called Shrek. Maybe you've heard of that book before. Shrek has hairs on his nose and he snorts. I love that. Can you read it again? I ask. Look at them. Snort, snort, snort. And that cute little heart. She loves this book. Snort, snort, snort. I love this book. I have to practice the words over and over, but my mother helps. Then we make an ogre costume. I make stick-on warts for the whole class. You see? Oh my goodness. When I get to school the next day, I ask Miss Brooks to lend me a hand. Look at what Miss Brooks is doing. They're putting warts on the entire class. When I say the word snort, the whole class snorts. I explain why a stubborn, smelly, snorty ogre searching for a revolting bride makes me laugh. And look at the teacher and the whole class. They're going, snort, snort, snort. Miss Brooks says she's glad I found a book to love. She says that even ogres like me can find something funny and fantastic and appalling in the library. And that is the slimy truth. The end. I hope you enjoyed that story as much as I did. And just think, whenever you think you don't like to read, you could just think about the character in our story today. You just haven't found the right book yet. So I invite you to continue the celebration at your home tonight. We talked about reading habits. Why not pick up a book and share in a book this evening to close out our World Read Aloud Day at your house? Also, this is your final opportunity. We want you to visit the link that you'll find in the comments or listed right here on the screen and share with us the book that you have already read today to celebrate or the book that you plan to read, because you will be entered to win this cool backpack filled with books that you can keep. We're going to be giving away 10 of these cool backpacks. So we invite you to go to that link, fill it out, tell us what book you're going to be reading, and then you will be entered in. Remember, get your parent to do it because you have to be 13 or older to enter, and you need to be local so that you can come pick it up at one of our library locations. Well, although our World Read Aloud Day is coming to a close, we know that the joy and power of reading and sharing stories never ends, especially at Charlotte Mecklenburg Library. And I would invite you to go to our library website at cmlibrary.org so that you can find lots and lots of other great things to do. We have programs that happen all week long for children, teens, and adults that you can visit at cmlibrary.org. We also have resources that you can access online for free. And then, of course, we always have our online catalog so that you can put books on hold and come pick them up at the library, or pick any ebooks for you to share at your house. So I hope you have enjoyed celebrating with us as much as we have enjoyed celebrating with you today. Happy World Read Aloud Day, everyone. Have a good evening. Bye.